It has been over a year since I told myself I was gonna make my first YouTube video, during which I hit procrastination, imposter syndrome, and resistance. Despite this attitude, I was still excited to share my MBA project. The problem is, I researched everything about videography, titles and thumbnails, camera, all the gear YouTube, that I got lost in. Everything but record. Gradually, making my first video was like the biggest obstacle for me to overcome. I guess if you're watching this, then that must mean I figured it out. Nah. After pushing it off for a whole year, I finally found the perfect project to get me started. When the NBA playoffs of 2024 are happening, I got the chance to design NBA merch for House of Highlight, a social media sports company. I knew this was the moment because I knew I wanted to look back on this video and remember all the good times that I had designing this project. The brief was simple: to make NBA championship merch for the winner of the NBA Finals. We combed through tons of mood board imagery, and what stood out the most was this vintage style sports tee that's been popping up more and more recently. Extruded typography, dazzling imagery, NBA teams, this was all around a fun project. I started sketching out quick ideas to get on paper. To my surprise, I noticed something that caught my eye. The year 2024, or rather 24, felt weirdly relevant to basketball, and I wasn't quite sure until it finally dawned on me. The grind, the mentality. My mind led to Kobe and all of his greatness to the game, and to me. Whoever wins this chip will forever have the year 2024 on their resume. I felt this was a great place to start. You might think your first idea is your best one ever. It's usually not the case. I played with several different layouts, but I just couldn't quite figure it out. Having the 24 in the front felt too in your face, so I pocketed the idea and moved on to the typography. For the layout, I put the text on top with a warp effect so it can hug what's underneath. And then at the bottom, I reversed the warp effect so it can hug what's on top of it, leaving room in the middle for elements that can tie back to like basketball or winning. In this case, we played around with like trophies, rings, etc. This layout was purposeful as it let us quickly switch out the team logos and change the name in real time in case there was an upset. I definitely was rooting for the Mavs though. Lastly, the rest were details that glued the pieces together. I polished the trophy with some glow and added grain to give that texture. Inserted some lightning because, it's lightning. To blend it all together, I added some color adjustments to match the team and sparkles where the lightning hit. We finally had ourselves the complete layout. There was one more missing puzzle though. Ah, yes, the 24. One of our lead designers suggested to use it more like a plate on the back that held everything together. So that inspired me to add a little gold lining around to kind of have that visibility without taking away too much from the design. It's subtle, but you get the idea. After lots of iteration, I thought we landed in a pretty good spot. You got bold extruded type on top and bottom with a slight warp effect, and then the game ball and trophy stacked in the center to tie back what these players are fighting for. With some final photo adjustments and added details, this was ready to send off to the NBA for approval. But it was right when I finished this project, I hit my biggest stump ever. I knew the project was done, so it was time to make the video, and boy, resistance hit me. After 2 weeks of writing my script, I was taking way too long to rewrite it. Weeks turned into months, then reality started to set in, and I started doubting myself. I started doubting everything I was doing. The high of starting something new eventually wore off, and I was faced with the reality of commitment. And I was asking myself, why was I waiting so long and hesitant on not doing the thing I knew I wanted to do? Why am I delaying this process? I was going to quote this book. It's called 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Berkman, and it shed on something that was really interesting, and I honestly read it yesterday, so the idea is somewhat fresh. Why exactly are we rendered so uncomfortable by concentrating on things that matter, the things we thought we wanted to do with our lives, that we'll rather flee into distraction, which by definition are what we don't want to be doing with our lives? The solution to this mystery, dramatic though it might sound, is that whenever we succumb to distraction, we're attempting to flee a painful encounter with our finitude. You're obliged to give up your godlike fantasies and to experience your lack of power over the things you care about. Perhaps the cherished creative project will prove beyond your talents. You'll have had to allow yourself to risk feeling claustrophobic, imprisoned, powerless, and constrained by reality. Basically, he goes on saying, no wonder why we seek distraction online, where the rules of limits don't apply. In order to dull the pain of finitude, it just needs to make you feel unconstrained. And I think that opened my eyes. The takeaway here for me was that the minute it was challenging for me to break through whatever I was working through, I pushed it off. It was easier to push it off and work on something else because I had control over that. I knew what I was doing in that something else. But with this, I was like a brand new baby. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I realized I need to sit in this pain. I need to endure this uncomfortable feeling of not knowing what's going to happen, on how this video will turn out. If it even is going to turn out, I had to sit in this and I had to feel it. And it's very uncomfortable. I bookmarked this just so I can refer to it in the video. The effects of small habits compound over time. For example, if you can just get 1% better each day, you'll end up with results that are nearly 37 times better after 1 year. I just thought this was cool that he had a mathematical equation to prove to you that if you just get 1% better every single day, more than a third of it will be done after a year. So I just latched on to the concept of getting a better day by day, and it took forever. The progress started to snowball, and eventually I just started shooting. I actually spent even longer writing, but then my buddy Drew was like, hey, you know, you already have most of the script down, just record it, just try it. So here I am. Anyway, cop your hoodies in the link below.